Thanks for joining us, everybody, for this webinar on, how apps associates and Oracle AI agents are happening, and all of this new great functionality. We appreciate everybody joining the call today. I'm going to go through a couple of introductions and then talk a little bit about our journey in the AI Agent Studio. What have we learned along the way? And then, we're going to spend some time doing three very specific demos, one for finance, one for SCM, and one for HCM. So exciting stuff. Feel free to ask questions in the chat, and we'll do our best to get those answered. And then we will try to save some time at the end of the call for Q&A session there. So we'll be a little tight on time, but a lot of good information here. My name is Gary Marinas. I'm a practice director here at Apps Associates in Delivery and AI Enablement. I have Varsha with us, who's a senior principal consultant in the financials application, and we have Jay Pradhan, who's a senior director in our delivery, organization. All of these folks have significant experience, in the AI Agent Studio, delivering agents along with their pillars, in the application. So great to have them on board with us today. I think most of you know Apps Associates. If you don't, you know, we provide we're kind of a pure play, Oracle partner, meaning, we stay in the Oracle space. We have, advisory services, transformation services, implementation, ERP cloud, SCM cloud, managed services. Um, so a little bit about us, we've done over 450 implementations, over 22 years in the business between all of our companies. And things are just going really well, and we really enjoy being in the space we're at in, the Oracle sphere. Locations, we have the ability to do work across the world, and mainly we're in, the Boston area and India, and we have locations also in, Europe and Canada as well. So we're expanding, and those are our primary locations. But like I mentioned, we of course do work, all over the world. So let's jump right into it. Our journey, to the AI Agent Studio. Uh, how did this happen? So we have a really deep partnership with Oracle, and they invited us to be an early adopter of the AI Agent Studio. And what that meant for us was that we got, you know, um, early access to the pods with the AI Agent Studio. We got hands-on training at Oracle in Redwood Shores and in India. Um, we have, at this point, I think over 200 AI Foundation certifications. And if you take um, all of the different AI certifications that Oracle provides, we have over 468 across our, company. So it's pretty significant. We took that information that Oracle gave us and that opportunity to learn about AI agents and how it worked, in the different pillars. And we established an internal AI Pioneer program. And what that means is we took a core group of people that were going to be kind of pioneers in that space and help the rest of the organization, get up to speed, learn how to use it. When's a good prompt? When's a good agent? When's a good use of this? And we scaled that training across the organization. So not only have we done all of these certifications, but internally we're taking kind of, I'll say, the bull by the horns, and we're training everybody across the organization on how to use these AI agent, capabilities. Since then we have developed real deployable agents including, our marketplace into Oracle's AI Agent Studio. So there's going to be a tab in there that's going to show agents that partners have built, and they're going to be available to you to use out of the studio. You can copy and use those. And so, along with that pipeline, we have 14 of those going into the marketplace today. But internally, we're constantly building, more agents. And, I think we're up to like, over 86 being worked on at any given time. Um, so, along with that, and then the last thing we've been doing is kind of, what we're doing right here. We've been holding these knowledge sessions one to one with some companies and one to many with others, like this webinar. and we've even been a part of Oracle's Customer Connect. So I don't know if you guys know about that, but we were on Customer Connect with Oracle as a premier partner, uh, and held one of these sessions there. It was very could be very similar to what we're doing here today. So what do we learn? When do we build an agent? Um, Good things about agent design, prompt writing, and last but not least, how do you test and monitor and make sure that your agent is valuable, and that is through Metro. So let's go to the next slide here. So when do you build an agent in Oracle, and when do you not? And this is a tough question because AI is kind of the new shiny thing, and it's like, when do I want to use it? What is it? What makes sense? Um, we want to build agents when standard functionality doesn't support your business goals. When that functionality potentially involves too many clicks, um, you want your agents to have kind of a clear, concise objective, um, autonomy of that agent, its ability to think, perform actions is going to benefit your business. So your team is spending too much time ferreting out, data or intent, and you want an agent to do that for you. And if this thing lends itself to a chat-driven or autonomous initiation or execution, that's when you want to do it, so that you don't have a user clicking through several different parts of the application to get a workflow done. We want the agent to take that and kind of speed things up for you. You know, you don't really want to build an agent when standard Oracle supports that business goal and it's already intuitive and it already does it fast enough for you. Um, High volumes of data input are a little harder to do in a chat experience. Although I will say, I've been a part of another Oracle partner initiative this week, and in 26 A, they've introduced the ability to upload files directly into your agent chatting, which is a significant departure from where they were at before. And you know, you want to be careful. Your data has to be good in the system. So if the data needs a lot of massaging and processing uh, before writing it back to Oracle Cloud, you probably want to be careful, using an agent for that. Now you can take into consideration things like human in the loop and whatnot, but just some things that we've kind of fostered out during our time of working with these agents so far. How do I even do it? How do I build the agent? Like, how do I design it? You know, it's kind of like you're implementing a new person, in your organization. So what's their role? How do they fit into your org chart? What's the task that they're doing to support the organization or a work process? So flow out that agent's literal tasks, like make a diagram. What's it going to do? What's the workflow? And then build that agent in small steps. You don't have to create a single large, big working agent, or you'll just constantly be doing reiterations. You want to take code blocks and kind of build on top of each other. Small sections, make sure it works, test it out, then build the next section and keep going. And then lastly, how do we score correctness and intent, and that we're not using 8 billion tokens every time we submit, a question to the agent. They have a tool now called Metro, and that is where we can, monitor, trace, report, on the various things that the agents can do, and tells you how many times it's been run, what's the latency, was it correct compared to your analysis. It gives you a way to evaluate and basically trace where the agent might be breaking down if it is. So they're really coming up, with that. I can say that, Oracle has been introducing new functionality in this space at a very rapid pace. Like, we're keeping up, trying to get the new functionality and features, tested out there. So I think when you're talking about LLMs, it's really important because, one of the basis of your agents is mostly they're going to be using some form of an LLM. Think chat, GPT, OpenAI 4.1, chat mini, 5.0, llama, cohere. um, the big thing is, you got to make prompts, and they're as much of an art as they are a science. And descriptions matter of the prompt, of the tool, description of the tools, descriptions of agents, descriptions of supervisors. it's very important to provide that context when you're designing your agent, and referencing those descriptions in your prompt. Um, don't be afraid to take things in bite-sized chunks and start writing your prompt and building upon it. Prompt writing can be altered by things like a space or making something bold or where it is on the, page of the prompt. And, crazy enough, it's okay to use like a chat GPT to help you build your prompt and, help you finesse your agent and tell you where it might be going wrong and where the structure might be gapped out. So that's all important, pieces of information there. So, yeah, we talked about this a minute ago, metrics, evaluation, tracing, reporting, and observability. They are constantly increasing the abilities of this tool. It's pretty amazing. Um, in the very first version, there wasn't really a way to do this. You had to kind of manually do it and run some code. Now they're building this dashboard where you can see how many times things have been run, evaluate them with your, expected questions and answers. So it's a very good tool, and they're going to continue to do that and give us analytics on how the agents are responding. Because once you build an agent, you don't just build it and then stop and then, you know, just let it fly through the next few releases. You actually have to continue to update, tweak, and maintain that agent. And this Metro evaluation tool is a great way to do that. We get a lot of questions about security. How's my data secure? How does it work? I think the biggest thing is that let's start with if I'm executing an agent, no matter which agent I'm executing, I only get information that I have my application role-based access to control to. So, in other words, if I'm just a procurement person and I don't typically have access to financial data or HCM data, I am not going to be able to run an agent. It's going to give me an error saying, the agent's unavailable or you don't have the right roles to do this. So first and foremost, it respects the security governance that you've already put in there. It's not just going outside of that. Inherently, because the AI Agent Studio is built on OCI, they already have guardrails in there. So like they're not going to let toxic language happen, harmful images or prompt injection. Um, you still build in your prompt some guardrails around how to answer things like give me the information on this rec. You don't want it coming back and saying, well, would you like me to do something with that rec if that's not your intent? So you still have to build some stuff into your prompting, but really the base guardrails and grounding is already built into OCI. And it's a zero data model retention. So when you're talking to the LLM, it is not storing any of your data. It does not keep it out there. It's not learning from the things that you're doing in the LLM as they're, based in the OCI infrastructure. So, and then when you're dealing with third-party REST services, so we might go fetch weather information or supplier risk management information, things like that. We're using Trap, which is token relay and proxy. So there will be OA, authentication, passing back and forth. So they're securing that information as it's going, through the internet there. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit so we can get through the demos, but um, Oracle has provided a lot of pre-built templates and tools. Um, you know, if in 26A, when we look at this, there's 218 pre-built templates. So there's 218 pre-built templates, and there's a marketplace tab that will constantly be getting upgraded. I think there's 23 out there right now. There should be 100 in the next release. And then, you can also build your own agents. Those 218 pre-built ones, you can copy, use, and make some very minor modifications for it not to be considered custom. So there is going to be a difference between you using an out-of-the-box agent and altering it slightly and building one from scratch or adding tools to one of those. So they're providing some really good agents that are going to be useful, policy agents, quick action agents, things like that, and those will be available, out of the box. Some things that are coming up in the AI Agent Studio. A lot of you in here are probably on 25D as you start getting your 26A cohort. There's some things in here, it's a little technical, but they're going to start, supporting, model context protocol. So MCP, that's a big buzzword in the AI world. We're going to be able to integrate with things like Slack and Teams. So you can, use your Teams directly to kick off your agent. There's, triggering your agents through, APIs and calling them. So there's a lot of things that they're delivering in 26A that are a significant uptick. And as you just look upcoming in future, there's just way more, and you notice evaluation and monitoring is in each one of those. um, they're always going to be giving us, better dashboards and better ways to evaluate and make sure that our agents are doing the things that we want them to. Okay, so now to the fun part where we're going to, show you some of these agents in action. We're going to do three things today. The first one that we're going to show you is an employee expense cash advance analyst. So Varsh is going to take you through this. This is actually already published on the marketplace. So it's there and available. And then that's the financial one that we're going to show you. And then we're going to do what we call a copy item structure in multiple orgs. So if you're a person in PIM or PLM, and you're, creating these items and you need to copy structures to many orgs, that's a painful process. Jay has built an agent that is due to be published in the next cohort of 26A that will actually take that and streamline that process for you. And then last but not least, I'm going to show you an HCM agent for employee assisting that actually uses a workflow agent, which is a newer concept in late 25D and 26A. So with that being said, you know, um, we are always looking to help our clients. And if you ever need any one-on-one or you need some, help transforming your enterprise or getting that roadmap together, we'll send this deck out to you, but feel free to please, scan, this QR code and, contact us and we'll get in touch with you to help you on your AI journey, whether that be, hey, I want to implement a singular, AI agent, or I want to have a whole, advisory, process to see how my Oracle journey will go, not only in Fusion, but also in the AI data platform that Oracle's recently introduced. So, okay, so I'm going to stop here and, so I jumped a little early on that slide. I'm going to stop and hand this over to Varsha. Varsha, if you want to take it from there, appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you, Gary. So let me share my screen. All right. And let me know if you can see the Oracle screen. All right. So this is where, the all action is happening. What Gary was mentioning, we are designing all these agents. And Gary also mentioned like one of our agent is already available in the marketplace. So I'll just, spend like couple of minutes to, explain, okay, how this thing actually works. So if you see Oracle in like, in the tool section, there is a AI studio, bar, a title, or you can say a tile, which you can click and then you can get into this page. So if you see on this bottom, there are various, like AI agent studio, AI agent team. So all these things basically helps you to design those agents. And one of the agent which I'm gonna demo today is currently available in the marketplace, which Gary already mentioned. So the benefit of this, like how we ended up creating this particular agent. So I was part of, one of the design session for the expenses module. And when we were explaining the functionality of cash advances to that customer, currently they were facing some challenges in their own system. And when we explained this functionality, similar kind of pain areas, they were seeing it also on the Oracle side. And the biggest pain point which they mentioned when we did this demo, that there is no linkage between what currently the organization is following, the expenses or cash advances policy, against what the actual employees are raising those cash advances. So most of time what's happening, that there are employees, depending on their level or the job role, they are entitled to raise only, certain amount of cash advances. But since this particular information is not available currently in the Oracle screen, so what's happening, they are, creating those unnecessary cash advances which they are not entitled to. And since once you created and once you submitted, these cash advances are getting triggered to your manager, but manager is overloaded with lots of rejection because these cash advances are not aligned with their organization cash advance policy, and then they are ending up rejecting so many cash advances. So this was the starting point for this agent. Like we understood, okay, this is a pain area, and then we decided, okay, let's come up with a process how we can integrate or how we can design one agent which will let that customer help to to address those pain areas. So if you see currently what I'm trying to display is this particular agent deals with so many elements. So when I say so many elements, by using this agent, you can query what your organization currently has those policy or the cash advance policy. So using this agent, you can give a command and it will give a very good snippet or summary of those cash advances. And by looking at these summaries, you will be able to not only create those cash advances for yourself, but you will be able to inquire those cash advances. You will be able to update those cash advances also. So if you see, this agent really helps you to get those information in one place, and using this agent you will be able to perform multiple action. So this is a snippet of it. I'll just explain like what are the different things currently we are using in this agent, and this will be a bit technical, which I'll be explaining it when I'll be demoing this agent. So as I was explaining, this agent will help you to retrieve your organization cash policy. So for that, we have created a document tool. Uh, Apart from that, we are also giving you the flexibility that when you will use this agent, you will be able to create your employee cash advances. So again, what we did, we created a custom business object for it, which ended up like a custom tool. And there are the concept of REST APIs. Using those REST APIs, you can pass certain key parameters and you will be able to create those cash advances. Apart from that, if you see, okay, there is a need, you want to understand, have you already created any cash advances in the past, which is still not approved or in a submitted status, you can use the get functionality of this particular agent, and this agent will give you all the details with respect to those cash advances prompts, which you are, providing to this agent. So this is like a high level how this agent works. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna switching my screen to give you a quick demo how this agent works. So currently, like whenever you create any agent, right? So you create your agent in an agent studio. But then when you have to use this agent, right, you have to publish that agent. And once that agent is published, you will be able to navigate or you will be able to access that agent using your agent explorer. So what I did using that marketplace, the one which is already available in the marketplace, I created one more agent. So if I just go back here and I'll show you. Okay, so this particular agent is available in the marketplace. As soon as you click on the create part, you will be able to, like copy that agent in your own Oracle environment and you will be able to use it. If there is a need that you want to modify it, you can modify it. But the idea of designing this agent that it should not involve like any kind of a modification. It will cater to most of your business needs. Okay, so now getting into the demo part. So this is my agent explorer, right, where I have created a demo agent using that marketplace template. And if I quickly search on that particular demo, so currently this is the agent which I created. And as you can see, as soon as I open this particular agent, it gives an overview. Okay, with the help of this agent, what do you want to do? Either you can like inquire all of your cash advances, or you can have your expenses or cash advances policy details, or you can also create your cash advances. So for this demo purpose, let's try to select one of the areas. So if I'll click on that display expense cash advance, so now what this agent is doing, right? This agent is invoking one custom business object, one custom tool, which is nothing but which is a document tool. So in that document tool, what we did, we have attached the organization expense and cash advances policy. So now what this agent is doing, this agent has scanned that document and now it's sharing a snippet of it. So if you see, it has highlighted the key point, okay, what are the expenses key policies are and what are the cash advances policy are. So now if you see, on the basis of this particular information, you will be able to create your cash advances and it will not get rejected and it will not create that unnecessary task for your manager. And currently, if you see the Oracle delivered screen, there is no integration or you cannot see any policy related information while raising your cash advances. So now on the basis of it, right, once you got your cash advances, policies, what are there. Now, suppose if you want to inquire, okay, what are the different cash advances which you have created in the system? So you can pass one command to this agent that get all my cash advances. Okay. As soon as you hit that command to agent, agent is invoking another business object, which is nothing but which is a get call. On the basis of that coding, now agent is scanning all those cash advances and it will share the output in a table form. Okay. So when I say in the table form, because there are tons of information, right, which you can see, but from an end user perspective, the key information would be your cash advance number, for which purpose it was created, and what is the trip start date and amount date. Okay. So you can see that information. Now, suppose, you have a need. You do not want to see this entire cash advance extract, but you want to inquire a specific one. So, for example, toll related cash advances. So again, agent is invoking one of the custom agent, but this time it's passing the key information, which is a purpose, which is a toll. So agent will be scanning again all those cash advances requests and it will again share all those cash advances which are related to your tool. Okay. So now after this, this one, if you want to update anything, right? Suppose there are few cash advances for which you want to update certain information, you can pass that update command as well. The only limitation with respect to update would be as per the REST API. For any cash advances, you will be able to just update the amount part. Okay. So that's one of the limitation of this agent, and this limitation is because of the REST API which Oracle delivers. So let's see if I pass that command to agent that you have to, update your cash advances. So as soon as you provide that cash number to this agent and you provide, okay, what amount you want to add, you will be able to update it. Now, the beauty of this agent, suppose if you are just passing any command and if you are not providing the key information, agent will prompt you. Agent will ask you to provide that information. Unless and until the end user is not providing that information, it will not update. So if you can see, it's asking me the amount, uh, like against like what amount I want to update for that cash advances. So currently I'm providing that amount detail to agent, that for so and so expenses, update the amount to $19. And now agent is again invoking that business object and it will, give me a confirmation that so and so cash advance has been updated with $19 amount. So we'll just wait for this agent to update that information for us, right? So far, what we have seen, this agent can give you this information for, the policy related. It can give you the list of all those cash advances which you have created in the system. It can also narrow down your search for your cash advances. And it's also giving you the flexibility to update those cash advances. Now, what if you want to create any of the cash advances, right? So in terms of performing that create cash advance, we have created another custom business object, and that cash advance create business object expects you to provide certain details. If you are not providing these details to cash advance agent, it will not create those information for you. So if you see now, currently, that agent has invoked me to provide that information without purpose, without trip start date or end date or amount. This agent cannot perform any cash advance creation. So agent is intelligent enough to provoke or to invoke, that information to end user before even creating that data. Okay. So now if I just provide that information to my agent, okay, for so and so purpose, so and so start date and end date, I am supposed to create one cash advance with respect to amount $2,000. Agent is invoking that create business object in the background. And once the data will be available, I can see that, okay, this agent has created that cash advance for me. Now, the last part which Gary was talking about, right, related to the security aspect. So, of course, when we are designing this agent, we are making sure that this agent has the right role for the respective modules. But you might be wondering, right, using this agent, I will be able to get information for any other employee because I have the role. It's just, a matter of fact of retrieving the data for another person. So what we did, because, apart from the role, we also have to make sure that we are taking care of all those security elements. So we additionally created one more business object, which is related to your personal information. So agent, as soon as you invoke this agent, right, it retrieves like who is the current user. And every time it validates, okay, if this agent is asking all the questions related to that person or not, or that employee. And if you ask any question for any other employee, that agent will simply decline that request. So I'll show you a quick demo for that one. So if you see now what I'm trying to do, I'll be trying to fetch some cash advances detail for Gary Marinas. And let's see if this agent will retrieve that information. Ideally, it should not. So I'm expecting this agent will politely decline that request. So we'll just wait for it, like what this agent is responding. So if you see, this agent has declined my request that currently this agent doesn't have the information of Gary Marines because, that's how we are dealing with the security. So if you see this agent, by using this agent, you are not only retrieving the policy information, you are also you are able to, create, update, or inquire any of your cash advances. So this way, this agent is pretty much secured. So this was all about that particular agent. I'm happy to, like take any questions. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move before we have questions. Let's move to Jay's presentation real quick. So Jay, if you want to take over and show us the item or copy structure.
Sure. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. So thanks everyone for joining. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. What we are going to show here is an item structure copying agent. So let me go into the background of this agent a little bit. Why we came up this agent, why we built this. So this agent was built on the basis of a pain point that was shared with us by one of our clients. What they have is in the item master, and I'll go into the application before I show you the agent, is when you have an item that's in the item master that has um, item structures, for example, those item structures are usually copied over only for the master org. So a lot of companies, when they create new items, they create an item from a copy of an existing item. If it's a very similar item number, and if it's in the same class or same category, what happens is when you copy item from one to another, the newly copied item would get the org assignments. So anything that the original item has in terms of organizations, that gets copied over. And then the structure gets copied over this thing only for the master org. So if I copy master to master and I also copy the org assignments, if there are item structures in the child organizations, those don't get copied over. So if you have 20 organizations and if you create a new item, the standard out of the box copying feature will create the 20 organizations here, but you have to go into each of these organizations individually here like this, and then go into there and then create an item structure that does not get copied over by default. So that was a huge pain point because it's manual work. You have to click through a lot of screens. So we decided to build an agent for them, and this is that agent. Just a quick note, you've seen all of the tabs on the agent. So this main page will take you to the Oracle built agents and then your marketplace agents. And then the agent teams is basically where you can see your custom agents or the agents that you've built as an organization. So you can search for those agents with keywords. I just typed in one of the keywords of my agent name, which is item structure copying agent. I'm going to use the admin view, not the end user view, so that I can show you a couple of things and I can also go through features that are available to the IT and admins that's not available to the end user, like looking at the number of tokens that are consumed, looking at behind the scenes that are calls that are made to LLMs or tools, and so on. So let's open up this agent team. Just FYI, team doesn't mean it's a bunch of agents. For example, this team only has one agent in it. So even if it's a product with just one agent, even that would have a team that's covering it because the team is how a human interacts with an agent. So even if you build a single agent solution, it will still be contained inside a team that lets you talk to it. So if I go here and look at the prompt, what I see here is again, like Gary mentioned, this was a learning experience for all of us. We've built prompts that were short. We've built prompts that were bullet points. We've built prompts that actually looked like a computer program. But before AI, if you were to do this in traditional software, you would write a program in either PL SQL or any other language, Python, Java, C++, and it would be very structured. The beauty of agents is it lets you do that programming in pure English language. And when you open that door, it opens the door to a lot of business analysts, a lot of IT professionals who know the system well, but are not good with or are not trained on coding. So that's the main value or proposition of agentic AI is it opens the doors to people who may not necessarily be keen on building objects. They can write things in plain English. Now, it wouldn't be accurate to say that the technical skills required is absolutely zero. You may have to have some familiarity with the the APIs and you may have to build some tools. You may need a little bit of help from technical folks, but the rest of the logic is written in plain English. So if you see here in the beginning, what I've done is I've told the agent and I'm treating the agent like a new employee to the organization. So if you hire a new intern or a new employee, you have to tell them a little bit about how your organization works, how your system is set up, what the standard operating procedures are, what the processes are within the company, how do you pass on work from point A to point B. So that's what I'm doing here in the introduction. I'm telling the agent, which is going to bounce against an LLM, is what do I mean by an item number or an organization? When are these things unique? Um, what's a destination or a parent item number? What's the count? What's the whole topic of copying item numbers from one organization to another? So I lay out some of the foundational things, and then I'm introducing the tools. Tools are basically your hooks into the system to make updates, because all these agents, when they talk to you, they also need to go back and make updates, like create an item structure or check if an item structure can even be created, check for eligibility. So that's all SQL queries, that's all insert, update, delete commands that are happening behind the scenes against the Oracle database. So for that to happen, we have to build tools. And here I'm explaining again in plain English what each of those tools are supposed to do. That way, when I'm interacting with an agent, the agent can make the choice of the right tool at the right time. I'm not explicitly telling it to choose this versus that tool. I'm treating it as an employee of the company who has to decide whether going to use a plier or a hammer or a screwdriver or a drill to get the job done. So these are the tools, and I'll let the agent make the decision on what tool to use when, depending on what I'm requesting it to do. Then comes the procedure. What to do when somebody asks you to copy an item. First, check if the item exists in destination organization. Then check if the components exist in the destination organization. Then check if there is already an item structure, because Oracle obviously doesn't allow duplicates with the same structure name. So all these due diligence checks are done by the agent. And then if everything is good, it may go ahead and copy the item structure for you. So go ahead and type up any questions that you have for this agent or for the agent for cash advance that Varsha had, and then we'll take those questions at the end. Let me jump in and start demoing this agent now. So as you can see, I have a couple of items ready to go. I'm going to take this item number, where in this particular organization, in Spring organization, I don't have an item structure. But for that same exact item in the master org, I do have an item structure. And the reason is, when I copied this item from the original item, it copied the item structure only at the master level. And in the Spring organization, it did not. So I'm going to use this particular item number and ask the agent to copy the item structure from master to the child org. So the main thing here is I'm going to put this in the demo, and you can create some pre-built prompts that are useful to get the conversation started. If you forgot what the agent does, or if you are, training people on this agent on what it does, you can have it, just tell you what it can and cannot do. So it's like an introduction. So it's going to tell you what it can do. So it says, I can do that. I'll need a few details. I'll need an item number. Where do you want to copy that item number from? Which source organization, destination organization, all of that. So I'm going to say copy item structure from Supremo 5219 from item master to one of the child orgs. Okay. So based on the prompt, it's going to do a bunch of checks behind the scenes. And then if it's eligible, it will go ahead and do the copying of the item structure. So as you can see, when you are in the studio and running the team from the studio itself, not from the end user view, you can see the workings behind the scenes in this yellow box that pops up. And it's telling us how many times it called the LLM, which are the tools it's calling. So if you see here, the item ID tool or org ID tool, that's for the purposes of getting behind the scenes unique IDs. It's also getting the item structure. It's finally, once it validates all that and checks if the items exist, the components exist, everything's kosher, it's going to go ahead and create the item structure. So this is the output. It's telling me what it did, and it's telling me that it was successfully copied, right? So it also, again, is very polite. Again, large language models and chat GPT and AI is very polite, very helpful. It's going to ask me if I want to do more things. I can put a command in here to copy that item structure to multiple child organizations using one command, and it will go in a loop and do that one by one. So that's also possible. Now let's check if everything it did is all good. So if you see here, It went and checked if the item structure exists in the master, if the components exist in the destination, what are those components. If everything is ready to go, only then it will go and do that. So I'm going to requery this item number and then see if we can check. So before I go there, let me close 5219. So do we have any questions, Zena, that are from the audience?
There was one, Jay, and I answered it.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we copied it to the Spring organization, and we'll go check if the item structure. So you can see this item structure just got created. It wasn't there before, but now the agent has gone in and created the item structure. So um, feel free to pop more questions in. I'm going to turn this over to Gary with our third agent demo. So Gary, on to you.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I'm going to share my screen. Share the whole thing here. Okay. What I'm going to go through is the employee assistant um, agent. In the spirit of time, we have 10 minutes left or 12 minutes left, so I'm going to run through this. If I log in and I have access to this, I can go down to me, show more, and go down to the AI agent studio, and we can get to what we call the Explorer. Varsha kind of touched on this a little while ago. This agent is actually going to help alleviate calls. It's going to, uh, support reducing emails to HR so that we push that ability and capability to get information and take action to the employees directly. So we're going to, search for our agent, and we're going to use this one employee assistant too. So once you publish an agent, it's available on the Explorer app. This is just a different way to access your agent. And when I come in here, I can ask it a couple of questions, so what is my business unit? So this thing, I'm logged in as someone who has a business unit, and it's going to respond with that. Just a second. So this is actually looking at a REST API that goes, hey, who is this person logged in as? What's their information? And, respond with that. So you could limit this even further, but it obviously responded with the business unit, information. And then you can say things like, where do I change where do I change my bank information? And what this is going to do is, while this one, the first one, where I said, "Hey, what's my business unit? What's my information?" It went out and said, "Hey, get this user's particular information and respond with that through a get user, session type thing, REST API." This one, on the other hand, I'm saying, "Hey, where can I change my bank information for expenses and whatnot, employee self service?" And so what Terry did on this one was she actually put a link in here, right? So you can click on this link, and this is called a deep link, and it's actually going to take you over to the place in the system where you would manage your personal payment methods. Now, she doesn't have any set up right now in here, this test instance, but this is where you would manage that information. And then lastly, what this agent does, and I'm about to show you what's really kind of unique about this one is you can say, when our annual raises. And what this thing's going to do now is it's going to go out and say, hey, uh, I have a document out there, your company's policy about when raises, happen, and I'm going to go search for that. So this agent, so it's responding here, annual raises are effective April the 1st, actually went out and looked at a source, right? So, uh, you know, this agent does quite a few things. Now, the unique thing, about this agent in particular is that it is what we call a workflow agent. So I'm going to go pull that up and show you guys what that means for us. And I'm going to try to do it within 3 minutes. All right. So when we look at this agent in the system, this is what we call a workflow agent. So we're actually, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here, taking an LLM and making it a deterministic set of yes, no, if then questions for it to take an action. So it is actually looking at user intent. What kind of question did they ask? Did they want to see something? Did they want to do something? Did they just need information? And so it actually goes through a workflow of information, looking at agents, grabbing business objects, deep linking, information, or it'll tell you that it's not in scope. Give me a raise. That may not be in scope, right? As opposed to asking, when do raises happen? So there's some real opportunity here with these workflows. I had another slide that I thought I'd show you guys that I think is important. So workflows were introduced at the end of 25D, and they've really been they're actually in 26A just going great. And you can do a lot of things from creating deterministic workflows to probabilistic, supervisor agents that, like Jay was saying, make determinations on which agent it should be using. But we're really entering a new, phase in this where we can upload documents, it can parse those, validate. Let's say your supplier sends you a quotation and it's got, each on there spelled out. Well, you have an LLM actually go out and look at your unit of measures and do that mapping for you to create a requisition from that quotation. So there's a lot of really cool things coming in. The introduction of MCP, the ability to take information and write it like vector database writing and reading, using that information on the fly, pagination on this. So one thing is when we return values in the agents, we might have 100 records. How do we want that to be viewed on the page, and how do we go to the page next, next, next? You can build all of that if then loops, switch, situations in the workflow. So very interesting times for us. Uh, I am going to go back to this for just 1 second and share it out here. And we're kind of done with the demos. Um, if you'd like, if there are any questions we want to take, uh, let's go ahead and do that now. We really appreciate everybody coming out here today.
Zena,
All
do we
right.
have any questions from the audience that we can't see?
Uh, okay. Well, doesn't
I
sound like we
do,
have any questions. I
I
think
do
we.
have a question.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yep. So what is unverified data?
Say that again. What is
What is
unverified?
data?
What is unverified data?
I think it's
Uh,
about the file upload you mentioned, like when you upload files to agents, that's allowed in 26A.
mhm.
Oh, I think it's in that context.
Is that the context that you were asking? So I guess without more context, if we're going with what Jay's pointing to there, you can take PDFs and certain text files, upload them directly into the system, and have LLMs and business objects really parse that information out to use it and create whatever the input you need to be in Oracle. So this, concept of taking a file, um, taking a quote from a supplier, turning it into a requisition, or taking a purchase order from a customer and turning it into a sales order. That's all stuff that you can, use the LLM to really hash out those details and check correctness, along the way to get it in the system.
How much are agents?
How much are they, like cost wise?
Yes.
Or okay. So always, always check with your Oracle reps about the cost of the agents. But the way that I would explain it is if you're using an out of the box agent with Oracle and you did not add any tools to that, that would that is just a part of your general licenses. So if you've already um, paid for a particular pillar or module, then you can use the agents in that. Now, you would have to be careful with invoking agents that use other modules that you don't have licenses to. As far as building an agent from scratch, there's definitely a complexity feature, and with the introduction of these new workflow agents, it requires taking some requirements and then putting them together, and that would definitely be some consulting effort for you if you wanted that. So not a definitive answer, like to buy one. It doesn't really necessarily work like that. But yeah, so there are packages that Oracle provides for when you have invoked a custom agent. As far as buying licenses for that, there are licenses that are associated with that and token packages. So it's good to definitely touch base with your Oracle rep on that. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, there is another question in the chat. Can the workflow agents be activated in any module at this point, or are they only available in certain modules currently?
So that's a good question. Oracle has provided agents in, CX, SEM, HCM, um, EPM sort of, and they haven't really released much for, ERP as far as like financials goes. So that's why you have folks like Varsha, building those agents, from scratch. So yeah, there's a lot of agents coming. I mean, we're at 218, and I would suspect within the next couple of months we'll be at, hundreds and hundreds of agents out there across all the pillars. But they can be built in any of those pillars at this point. If a REST API exists, we can definitely take action on that. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this was beneficial, and we hope to hear from you all shortly. So thank you very much, and have a great day.